I'm glad to have a motion on the table, though I think I'll be suggesting some additions and amendments to it. I lived in Santa Monica when I was in my 20s and my 30s, and all of my time was taken up chasing career goals and girls. I mean, I wasn't about to get involved in local politics. And now I sit in community meetings, and like many of us, I look around and I say, where is the next generation? Why aren't they here? Something I've observed is that people in their 20s and 30s, although they may not care about what the city council does, nor even know that they have a local city council, which may be part of the problem, they do care about national politics. They are engaged on that level. And so part of what I think we need to do is to help educate our community to understand why it is we come hang out here every other Tuesday night and what it is we do. There is a scary number of people in Santa Monica who are very excited about their new mayor, Eric Garcetti, for instance. And that's nothing against Eric, but just people who haven't looked around locally don't realize that we're one of the 88 cities in LA County, and that while we may be embraced by the 11th District of Los Angeles City, we are not part of the city of Los Angeles. We have a local government, and if you live in Santa Monica, you have an amazing ability to get engaged in local issues that you wouldn't have in most communities. This is one of the most open city halls in the country, but people just don't know that yet at that age. So the city manager and I have talked a lot about what we could do to reach out. I love the idea of push notifications on agenda items of specific interest. I watch some of the planning commission meetings at home, and it's hard to sit there with an agenda and say, well, maybe they'll get to that at 8:30 or maybe it'll be 10 o'clock. If I were to get a push notice email or something where I could click on a link and that would bring up my browser with the live video stream of the item, that'd be pretty cool. And that's the sort of thing that, I would know how to do, but people of the generation we're looking for, they expect that of us. They probably are wondering, where are you folks and why haven't you done this before? The biggest concern I have about this is, okay, after all the discussion on the Sustainable City Plan, here we are talking about empowerment. But part of the decision is, well, who are you going to choose to empower? Because you can empower the people you agree with, or you can empower people you don't agree with, or you can empower everybody equally. And I would say that last is the course that a city government has to take to be responsible. And, we have a plan here where we will be having a class, a citizen academy, but the staff report says on page 7 that staff would select the students. So one of the questions I'd have that I'd like to have come back, maybe as an info item, we wouldn't have to have it all tonight, is some idea of what the criteria for that would be. What would somebody have to do or show about themselves to qualify to be selected by staff to be part of that academy? And then also I have a question about the outreach as suggested on page 4 of the staff report. I look at the list and I see some groups here, Santa Monica Next and Santa Monica Spoke, but I also see a rather heavy reliance on what I would see business-oriented organizations. And they are going to have a particularly business-oriented point of view. And that's fine if we reach out to them and to others who may not have that same point of view. Reaching out to the school district's a very good thing because that's a more egalitarian group than almost any, although again, it's going to be more interested than most in school issues. I see here that it says that monthly meetings with the neighborhood council and the planning department will continue. I would assert that that's just not enough. One of the assets that we have in this town, as self-selected as they may be, is our neighborhood groups. These are people who, despite all odds, have decided to engage themselves in our process. Most of them, yes, are of our generation, not 20 or 30 years old. But they live in the neighborhood where those 20 and 30-year-olds are, and if we could help them bring those 20 and 30-year-olds in, that might be a more neutral ground to get to residents than going through business organizations. I think we also have to be careful we heard staff say that they were trying to make this be a grassroots outreach effort, and I support that. But if you work in the grassroots, there's such a thing as AstroTurf. AstroTurf is when a organization is made to look like it's grassroots, but it really has an agenda. It's really something other than that. And for instance, I would be curious in what vetting staff had done of the group called Young Santa Monica, which announced itself in a letter to the editor in a local paper And I noted that the letter was written by someone named Steve Elson, and it took a minimal amount of research to find out that Steve Elson is the director of asset management at the Lozato Company, which was the village trailer park, which had a matter before the council at the time. So I would hope that in doing this outreach, we would think about, is this truly a neutral portal through which to bring in people in a neutral way, or are we inadvertently bringing in people with a particular point of view and we don't even know that we're focused on just that point of view? The neighborhood groups are one thing I would hope we would increase the outreach to. I don't think we're doing enough right now with the neighborhood groups. I don't think a once a month meeting with a committee from all the neighborhood groups is enough contact between city government and the people in our neighborhoods. I don't see on the list the Santa Monica College Public Policy Program. You want to bring in a bunch of young people who have already demonstrated an interest in these issues. Go to one of those Santa Monica College Public Policy Programs. I think there's one coming up Thursday night this week that Sheila Kuehl has put together. And I think this one is on redevelopment and what cities can do to create affordable housing in the wake of losing redevelopment money. There's a room full of college students who, at least some, live in Santa Monica and care very much about these issues and could be brought in on the local level. We have neighborhood watch groups in our neighborhoods. If you don't want to go through the neighborhood organization per se, we could go through the neighborhood watch groups. There are true grassroots type organizations in this town, like Santa Monicans for Renters' Rights, and we may have reasons why we can't interact with them because they take on a political role, but there might be other ways to reach out to renters in this community who are 70% of the residents in the city. Maybe through the rent board we could do that. So I'm very supportive of the intent of this. As with everything we do, the devil or the angel is in the details. And I just want to say that my support here includes a very strong direction to staff to be careful who we reach out to. Make sure it's a neutral outreach. Make sure we don't inadvertently stack the group by going through groups that have a non-resident agenda. I guess my primary direction here is I want this to be a civic engagement strategy that focuses on the people of Santa Monica, the people who live here. I know there are other interest groups, and there's no problem in my mind, but they're being civically engaged too. But I think where we may have, to some extent, failed in the past is specifically an outreach to younger residents of our city of Santa Monica.